Morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, April 11th, 2024. We're here for a work session agenda. As we start all our meetings, will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Cuddy, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Cuddy. Okay, we have 5 items on for open session, then we will do resolutions, and then we will close open session and go into executive session. Item number 1 on for open session is matters surrounding the update and overview of the Riverhead Community Awareness Program, or CAP as we well know it, with Denise Merrifield. And Denise, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi. I'd like to invite the representatives from CAP to come on up and let everybody know the wonderful work that they're doing in the town.
Absolutely.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you would just both state your names so the people watching at home know who you are.
I'm Isabella Marcucci. I'm the Coalition Coordinator for Riverhead CAP.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Felicia Scacosa, the Executive Director of Riverhead.
And how many years now, Felicia?
25.
25. Excellent. Very good. It's an awesome
Since
program.
the last century.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. All right, Denise, you want to go ahead and?
Well, I was actually going to let Isabella
Okay.
tell everybody all the great work that they do.
Sure. So Riverhead CAP is a nonprofit that's based in Riverhead. We are the major prevention provider for the Riverhead School District, and we do a lot of work with the schools. So we do a few school-based programs. So this is a little bit of an overview of our programs.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we do provide some prevention-based counseling in the schools. We have social workers that are based in the middle school and the high school, and then we have a social worker who works at both Phillips Avenue and Roanoke schools. They provide brief training, prevention counseling, and in the middle and high school, they also offer Teen Intervene for students who are caught vaping once or twice. They get that to help them. Along with our school-based programs, we also do prevention program curriculum within 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 9th grades.
Come a little bit closer to the microphone, so there's one right over there too for you.
Okay. So with the prevention programs within the schools, our longest running one is the WASKI program, which I'm sure you've heard about. I myself went through it when I went to Riverhead. And that one's a really unique one because we get community volunteers along with middle school and high schoolers to help us teach the curriculum to the 5th and 6th graders. And then, as you know, we do our CAP March at the end of the year to really celebrate the program. So that CAP March is June 6th. It's going to be June 7th on a Friday. You are all obviously going to be invited to that, so we hope you're able to attend.
What was the date again?
June 7th.
And what does that entail?
The CAP March. So we have a keynote speaker who comes and speaks to all the 5th and 6th grade students. It's really just a celebration of all the work they've done in the year for prevention. We get all these t-shirts that say drug-free body, and we really celebrate being substance-free. The students get to make signs and have banners, and they do a march from Pulaski to part of downtown and come back, and they get a day to celebrate. They get to, the Moose Lodge provides food for us.
And for all the students.
And the students, yes. And it's really a celebration of just prevention and all the hard work they've done throughout the year. So hopefully you can attend. We do have special speakers for each classroom. So
I was honored to speak a few years ago on that. I was like when I first came in as a town board member, and all the kids in the class made me this awesome card and everything like that, and I felt like it was really great.
yeah, you're celebrities to them.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of our other elected officials come as well.
Yep. It's a really fun day, I have to
It's a
say.
great day.
It really is. And the kids appreciate somebody coming to their class
Sure, yeah.
and walking with them.
Yeah.
And you said that's June 7th?
Friday, June 7th.
Yes, exactly.
It's in the morning.
We just need good weather.
Yes. Hopefully no more smoke from the Canadian fires like last year.
Yeah, oh, exactly, right? Yes, that's right.
School.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this year, fingers crossed, is going to be amazing.
Good.
Along with our school-based programs, we also have community-based programs. So I do the coalition, and we really work with all our sectors within the community, such as elected officials, law enforcement, healthcare sector. We also work with like the New York National Guard a lot, and they help us find strategies that reduce the opportunities for substance use in the community. We do a lot of environmental strategies. Like Denise, you helped us with our environmental scan a few weeks ago, where we went into local vape shops and gas stations and just saw what they were selling. Because as we know, they are selling substances that they shouldn't be selling. So getting that information is really important for us, because then we can share it with the police department, and now they know what places to check out and do compliance checks at.
Oh, they were very willing to help.
Yes.
Me and the other person I went with. I was amazed how open they were.
Yes.
About
Sometimes.
the illegal items that they were selling in the store.
Yeah, a lot of times they keep the substances like flavored vapes not in view because those are illegal. But then if you just ask someone, say, "Oh, do you have a flavor?" They'll open up a cabinet and then show it to you. So
That's
by
just
doing
what they
that,
did.
Exactly. Yeah, you were very good undercover.
Good work, Denise.
Yeah. So that's just one of the strategies we do for getting data, but we also do like focus groups in the middle school and high school. So we just performed 2 focus groups in the past month, where we got qualitative information from the students about what are they seeing in the schools, what are they seeing in the community for substances, and we found out, they don't really think anyone's drinking at beaches anymore. Now it's more like house parties or getting an older sibling, allowing them to buy it for them. So it's really important information to help us cater our strategies to the substance use in the community. So along with that, we also have been working with some mental health first aid. So my coworker Sandra, she runs all that section. So we provide mental health first aid trainings, which is a 6-hour training.
It's 7, really.
7-hour training. So that is a very in-depth look. We offer it for adult and people who work with youth, but then we also offer a 90-minute, 60-90-minute options called QPR, question, persuade, refer. And that's for suicide prevention, and that's a really great option. And the great thing is, because it's with a grant, we offer all these trainings for free. So any organizations that want to be trained to see the signs of mental health issues or suicide, we do offer free training. So on that sheet, you can contact Sandra or myself if you want me to get you in contact with Sandra to get those free trainings. We also offer like specialized, so people who work with veterans or people who work as first responders, because that's a specific kind of trauma that they're experiencing. So these people are now trained in how to actually speak with them and learn the signs for that specialized group.
We've done several with the Riverhead Police Department, and Chief has been really good in bringing in some of the other East End departments too, and we're planning on doing some more in that area.
That's great.
Excellent.
I wanted to ask you, just for a moment, Supervisor, can we put this up on our
100%, yes.
Yeah. So we'll get this up, the sheet, the cover sheet.
Do you want me to send you like a digital copy so
That'd
it
be
doesn't?
great.
Okay.
It makes it easier for
Yeah,
Justin.
perfect.
Okay, great. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please
No,
continue.
great. And then finally, we also just received the Partnership for Success grant. That was really great because we were one of the few organizations to receive this grant.
In the country.
Yes.
Great.
So it was really great. And it really helps us build the prevention infrastructure within Riverhead Town. So we are working with some of our sectors, such as we've worked a lot with PBMC, Northwell Health. They are one of our bigger partners, and same with the Riverhead Police Department and the school district. Do you want to speak anything to Partnership for Success?
It's a very large grant. There's a lot of moving parts. So the goal, as Bella said, is to build prevention infrastructure that's sustainable after the 5 years of the grant ends. So we're working on several projects, like we've put some evidence-based programming in place in the school district that we're not actually teaching ourselves for once, but we're supplying the training and the materials for the teachers. And there was a gap in, there was Pulaski in 5th and 6th, and we have a a couple of people doing fourth grade programs, but there was really nothing standardized after that as far as substance use prevention. So now they're doing the 15 sessions, Too Good for Drugs and Violence, which is also about healthy relationships and bullying in 8th grade and 9th grade. So that's a big change. We're also trying to implement an SBIRT, screening, brief intervention, referral for treatment program in some of the schools so that some of the youth don't fall through the cracks.
That's great. I wanted to just ask you, you mentioned earlier something about surveys in the school. Could you just speak to that? A parent had contacted me and was concerned that if the children fill out the survey on their email that they have with the school, is that going to be somehow, I know that the surveys are anonymous. They were concerned that the school would get access to identity of the individual that fills out the survey.
Okay.
Could you just speak to that, so just to allay people's concerns about that?
Sure. So when you go into the survey, the second you get into the survey, becomes anonymous, and there is no way for the school to collect any information about the student or the person filling out the survey. And then furthermore, when the school gets the information back, it comes as an aggregate, so they don't get to see who actually answered a question or even who answered the survey. So it is completely anonymous, completely confidential. There is no way for the school to get the information about who's answering what or who even is answering the survey.
And this helps you find out what these kids know about drugs, right? If someone in their family is using them, or friends, or if they're using them, it gives you that kind of data to know what programs to start, right?
Exactly. That's why taking anonymous data is so important, because someone's more likely to be honest, and that's why we want to make sure everyone knows it is completely anonymous. There's no way to trace it back, because we want to know the honest truth about what is happening in the schools and in the community, because we want to be able to direct our services to help those areas.
And this is the CAP program we're referring to, not any other surveys.
Yeah, we only did the Clyde survey.
We only did the Clyde survey a few weeks ago. Also, I just want to add that survey data helps us track our outcomes. We can't just say, oh, the programs we're doing are great because the kids really like them. That's not enough. We need to track our outcomes. So, as you probably are aware, in 2019, we were named Coalition of the Year nationally through Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, and that is because if you look in your packet on this page of underage drinking, we were able to show significant long-term outcomes in reducing underage drinking, as well as prescription drug abuse, actually. So we need to be able to track our outcomes, and our funders also want us to track our outcomes, because part of the Drug-Free Communities grant that we had, which is ending now, it's very powerful. If you remember Kelly Mulaski, she went to go work for what's called the DFC National Evaluation Team, and that team tracks national outcomes. So we have to put in certain core measures every 2 years into the system, but it also shows that communities with drug-free community coalitions in them have significantly been able to reduce youth access to substances and subsequently reduce 30-day use, which is the best indicator of someone who's regularly using substances.
Thank you for your work. It's terrific. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we know dates just to put on a calendar for we're doing like the next drug take-back day?
So the next Drug Take It Back Day is what's Stop Day. That's May 4th.
May 4th. No. I always think that's a great event, because in my personal line of work, being in the funeral homes and family members who are on hospice, going back 30 years ago, we used to have to sign off and witness. The nurses would take the drugs and they would put them down the sink because they just didn't know anything was there, and then you realize later on that that was affecting potentially water supply and so forth, and the toxins and so forth. Now I think it's so great, we always share with all the families, like, after the nurses leave, like, any other things? It's going to be next take-back day. My son, 24 now, so he's getting older, still loves to go and attend that and be there for the take-back day, and that's
He's a big supporter of that.
and that's great, and I think one year it rained
It rains
Like
every
torrential.
every time it
Seriously, for
rains.
the past
Rain
year,
sirens.
since you've joined us.
Yes. The last 3 I've been to, it's been raining.
I'm noticing a pattern.
Yes.
Smoke, rain.
Yes.
Well,
But
he runs car to car and everything, and they helping
if
people.
people can't make it, we have, through our opioid grant, several other options for disposal. There's the medication drop box at the Riverhead Police Department, which is 24/7, and through those take-back days and the medication drop box, we've collected over 12,000 pounds of medication since 2014, which for this size community is a lot.
And it doesn't go in the water.
Yep.
Right,
great.
and it's not available to be abused.
Right.
And then we have several other disposal opportunities for people who can't make it. In fact, we're busting at the seams with this stuff, so we have doTERRA deactivation bags, we have
Dispose RX envelopes that go right into the prescription pill bottles. And we also have Safe RX locking pill bottles for, elderly can use it, parents can use it, anyone who just doesn't want someone getting into their medication either by accident or on purpose. We do offer them for free, so if anyone wanted them and can't make it out to the office to pick it up, we can ship it to them, so they can just contact the office and we can set it out to be shipped to them.
or we can, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, or we can partner with any of the town organizations like the senior
I was just
center
gonna say.
to distribute them, maybe partner with Meals on Wheels or something like that, to distribute these for homebound people or veterans. We also now have locking bags for people to store their marijuana since it's legal. We have free locking bags that will, no questions asked, we're happy to distribute them to keep, again, what we're learning, not just from our focus groups, but in me speaking with other coalitions over the years, is that it's very easy for youth to access their parents'
Substances.
weed, edibles, So in order to keep them safe, we have these locking bags that we'll send to anyone for free.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And in years past, you've teamed up with Peconic Bay Medical Center. I know in the last 2 years I got my Narcan training there, so that was always good. I don't know if that continues, but that was always just something good to have. You never know when you're driving. It's I'm proud that my family is my kids are great, and I'm not naive. They're really great kids, but you never know. Taking the training, I always have it in the back of my truck. So if you're just driving along and you see somebody collapse on the side of the road or something like that, you have the ability of getting the training from you and issue a Narcan. And so that's always been a good little additive too that you guys have had. So you do great work.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Thank you. Speaking of Narcan trainings, at our upcoming meet and greet, which you are all invited to, Northwell, the South Oaks Hospital, they will be doing free Narcan trainings and providing naloxone at the meet and greet. So hopefully you're able to attend and re-up your training if you'd like. So here is an invitation.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
These were mailed, but if you could please let us know
Yes, we will be
if
doing.
you will be attending. I
We'll
know
be-
Bob already said he wasn't coming.
I did?
Yeah, didn't you
Thank you.
respond that you weren't able to make it? Yes.
I got a response saying that you weren't.
I love this event, but it's grueling interviews sometimes.
That's why.
It was tough questioning.
Yes.
Something on my calendar.
That's fine.
That's fine.
But I would like to do it. The other thing is, can we share this with the bid in the chamber? Is that,
They did receive
they did
the,
receive this?
the
Okay.
invitation.
So it's not open to the entire community type event
I gotcha.
because we don't have the capacity to
Right.
do that.
Okay.
But it is, we did invite about 200 stakeholders in the community, so hopefully
Well,
we'll
I
have.
know I'm
I'm
coming.
gonna look at
Yes.
I'm gonna see why I can't make this.
Well, I have to say, our town board coordinator is fantastic, Diane Tucci. She already has this on my calendar for me, and I will be in attendance.
Okay, so
Thank
you'll be
you.
there. Great.
I go wherever Diane tells me to go.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's every year it's, we do something different,
Oh.
but there's lots of,
It's on my calendar.
See?
Oh, good.
so are you coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
It's on my calendar twice.
It's on my calendar twice too. And to Joanne's point, Diane, we're robots for her.
Great.
Excellent.
So, and there's lots of interactive activities, and our youth coalition will, of course, as usual, be highlighted, what what they've been doing in the community, and we're just going to really be talking about looking forward to the future of prevention in Riverhead.
That's terrific. Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Very
you.
much appreciated.
I have to say that over the years, the Riverhead CAP has set the standards for many organizations. The awards that you guys have received is tremendous. The work that you've done in the community is phenomenal. The number of kids that you have reached out to and have gone through the program over the years. I know my kids all went through it, and it's just an awesome program. And the work and hard work that you put in, nobody sees, what you do behind the scenes, but we know what a lot goes into it, and we really appreciate you here in our community and what you do.
Thank
So
you.
thank you
We have a
very much.
great team. And imagine how happy I was when Bella, who was a peer leader in high school, showed up for an interview one day, and I was basically, before I even
It was
spoke
fated
to her, I
to
was
be.
like, "You're hired." So
I was
there's
all
nothing,
over the CAP website from high
there's
school.
nothing
so it's
more
great.
exciting than having someone who's been through
Right.
your program
Oh,
and
absolutely.
through multiple programs,
Mhm.
then shows up and wants to work at your place. It's just such a great feeling and makes you feel very old.
Well, she only went through the program last year.
So anything, any other questions?
No, I think it's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you so much,
you.
ladies.
We'll
for
see
coming
you
in.
on April 30th.
Great job.
Yes.
Got it, thanks.
Okay, item 2 we have Joyce Novak, and regarding matters surrounding the Peconic Estuary Partnership. Hello there, how are you?
Hi. This is Valerie Vergona. She is our outreach
Nice to meet
coordinator,
you,
and she's
Valerie.
going to be speaking today as well. So I put together a presentation to sort of guide us through here. And I'm just going to start with, I don't know everybody here, so I'm going to start with a little bit of how and what the National Estuary Program is.
Well, we'll take care of that first. We have Councilwoman Joanne WASKI,
Good
Hello.
morning.
Councilman Bob Kern,
Hello.
Tim Hubbard you've met, Councilman Ken Rothwell,
Hello.
and Councilwoman Denise Merrifield.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
And you know Drew Dillingham
Drew I
from
know
our
well,
engineering
yes.
department. Yep.
Well, it's lovely to meet you all, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to be here in person. So I just want to go through a little bit of the National Estuary Program. We've been here on the East End since 1993. The program was originally hosted through Suffolk County. In 2017, we left Suffolk County, and we are currently hosted by Stony Brook University. And that just means that they help us as a fiscal host to assist us with contracting and financial management. I won't go through the watershed. You guys live here. You know it's here and how great it is. But why is the National Estuary Program important? We're authorized under Section 320 of the Clean Water Act. However, we are non-enforcement and non-regulatory. Right? We have no interest in doing the state or the federal government's job in that respect. We are here to build community partnerships and, quite frankly, to get money on the ground to our communities. And so how do we make decisions? We're guided by a comprehensive conservation management plan, which is a series of 35 actions, from community engagement to habitat work to water quality work to coastal resiliency, most recently. And it is under these actions that we are able to move money around and get it on the ground. Our governance has a series of committees with our policy committee at the top and working our way down. We would really like to see Riverhead engaged in our management structure. We have 2 local government representatives who have a vote on our management committee. That is important because that votes on what we spend our money on, how much of it goes to the ground, and where it goes. And I will be at the East End Supervisors meeting coming up to reach out to all supervisors to see who is interested in having more engagement on our committees.
We have located an individual within our town that works for us that is more than happy to do this. I know
Okay.
it's been a while since Riverhead had representation. I'm not really sure why we haven't had it, but we want to take care of that, and we want to get some representation on you.
That would be great.
Good.
And again, you know, we talked about that. I think this was one of those post-COVID, everybody had a lot going on
Yep.
for a long time to bounce back. We're going to go through some estuary-wide program updates with Valerie, and then we'll circle back to some exciting things in Riverhead.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'll just go quickly through some updates that we had over the past year. And this is just a small section of all the great work that PEP does. So you may be familiar with the Byron Young Fish Passage at Woodhull Dam, right across the street from the county center where PEP works out of. This is an ongoing fish passage project that's over a decade in planning and implementation. And if you're familiar with Byron Young, he's a really amazing person. He is a retired fisheries biologist with the DEC. He spent over a decade actually bringing these fish in a bucket up over the dam upstream so that they could go spawn. So to honor him, we did work with the Suffolk County Legislature to name this fish passage project after him. And we had an unveiling event last year. That fish passage project is up and running. We also have a camera at that location, so we can see how many fish are using this fish passage. There's also an eel passage.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yes.
knew the alewives were
Yes,
there, yeah.
very cool. Alewife monitoring, as I said, we do have that new alewife monitoring camera at Woodhull Dam, and we have the existing camera at Grangeable that we work with DEC, Town of Riverhead, to put in each year, and we've had consistent data from that point for a very long time. So that's up and running once again. We have our annual horseshoe crab survey. We host a site at Squires Pond in Hampton Bays, but that, of course, is an island-wide endeavor that we work with the DEC and Cornell Cooperative Extension to continue that. We have a new endeavor with CTUC, a river otter survey that we actually worked last year to get Stony Brook students, interns, working with CTUC to identify locations where we're seeing new river otters, including right here in Riverhead. Amongst a lot of the development, there's little pockets of wetland, and we actually see river otters using those locations, which is really interesting.
I just learned that yesterday. It was so interesting. I had no idea that they were here.
I
Yeah.
didn't either.
Yep,
We have
they're
others?
slowly coming back. It's interesting because they're very elusive. So I've been with the interns to go out looking for these new locations, and you're just looking for signs of them. It's really hard to actually find them, but slowly they are spreading them, and we are seeing much more evidence of those otters.
I think I saw one in a pond at a golf course.
Yeah?
I thought it was a beaver.
Uh-huh.
Somebody said, no, that's a goose. I said, no, it's not a goose. I said, they don't stay underwater like that and move like, this thing.
Yeah.
But, anyway, that's great.
Yeah, well, if it was sneaking around hard to look at, it may have been an otter. Okay, so we have our annual water quality report that we put out. 2022 is up on the website, and we're working to finalize 2023's water quality report. We get information from all different sources, so that's quite an endeavor to put together and finalize, but that should be up on our website soon. We have our Eastern Peconic Blue Carbon site. Joyce will go into some of these projects a little bit more granular after I'm finished. Sorry for this blank slide, but we actually did have our biennial conference last year right at Atlantis Banquets and Events here in Riverhead, bringing together a bunch of stakeholders and talking about all the great work that PEP does and our partners are also doing in the region. We have a USGS solute transport model project that has been ongoing for quite some time. We're in the final stages of the USGS finishing that project and also creating an app that's easy to use because this is very technical. And this will show different scenarios for nitrogen reduction. So if we, work on certain types of nitrogen reduction, what can we see projections for the future? Next, we have aquaponic wetland restoration. We are working in partnership with local organizations and SMART teams. This is a really interesting task in that it is working to restore natural hydrology for this wetland to improve the functionality of the wetland. And it also started as a mosquito mitigation technique. So working to restore the natural hydrology so there aren't those, sitting pools that, we see those mosquitoes coming from, and also going out there and scooping up mosquito larvae. So a lot of great partnership and on-the-ground work in this task. Next we have Broad Cove, which I'm sure you are all familiar with. This is a former duck farm site. We are working with Peconic Land Trust and through our bipartisan infrastructure law funds to create public access, signage, and in the future work for more environmental remediation.
That is an absolutely beautiful piece of property. If anybody hasn't been down there, I invite you to take a walk through there because you will be amazed.
Yes.
Check for ticks when you're done.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting that in the last presentation you mentioned the Canadian wildfires last summer, because we actually had a planned eelgrass aerial survey that was postponed due to those wildfires. There's a very short period of time during the summer that you can actually do this aerial flyover technique, and it was completely smoked out the entire time that we would like to do this. So that hopefully this summer. Next we have 3 Mile Harbor. This is the location of a PRB, so that's permeable reactive barrier, which is a technique to remove contaminants such as nitrogen from groundwater before it flows into our surrounding waterways. We're working now to monitor the effectiveness of this, and to future plan like where these work best, if it is working in the site at all, so that we will have more information on in the future. Next, we have this great tool on our website, nitrogen load reduction BMPs. So this is a great tool that anyone from homeowners to municipalities can use when working to reduce nitrogen. It has various different techniques that you can use to reduce nitrogen input, and also will go into the cost effectiveness of each of these alternatives. Our critical land protection strategy, also very useful for municipalities when you are working to plan climate resiliency as well as land acquisition for preservation. You can go ahead and check out that tool. If you do want any further help using that, you can go ahead and call the PEP office and we can help you with that. Next we have Narrow River Broad Meadows Marsh Restoration. Is this the latest that the land use agreement is in process?
No, the land use agreement is finalized. Engineering designs are underway.
Okay, great. And next we have Paul Stoutenberg nearing completion for those engineering designs as well. Do you want to go over that one?
Sure, absolutely. We're doing some work with the aquaculture industry. When Suffolk County renewed their lease program a couple of years ago, there were some communities that pushed back, that oyster aquaculture, particularly would have negative environmental impacts. So we decided to engage researchers at Stony Brook University because the science that we were getting would disagree with that, right? So we've engaged the Peterson Lab at Stony Brook University to carry out in-water research and under cage research, so in the sediment and the surrounding water, to look at what's happening under the water and to be able to formally document what's happening. Initial results are showing that these cages actually increase biodiversity. There is a lot of use as multi-habitats for different organisms underwater, and water quality immediately around the cages tends to get better. So we're excited for this work as it moves forward and we move more into some of the sediment work to see what's happening, but very excited about that. Eco-sim modeling is really just looking at the different fish assemblages in the water. As our water is warming, things are changing. So we want to know what's happening and where everybody's moving to and who's coming into the estuary. Hardened shoreline ground truthing, we did an initial desk-based assessment of bulkheads And we are really working hard to try and have communities and municipalities preserve natural habitats, natural shoreline habitats, and introduce other options in lieu of a bulkhead. When is a bulkhead appropriate? You know, there are some places where no amount of plants are going to keep back the ocean, right? Water always wins. But there are other places up creeks and in less energy affected areas that nature-based solutions are possibilities. So we're working really hard to come up with what those are, who are the engineers that we can get to certify different types of installations, and a map-based approach to where they are appropriate and where they are not. We're also working with our towns and DEC on streamlined permitting. So some of our towns tell us, well, we go to DEC, we get the permit, town doesn't have power then to say no to that permit. So we're trying on the back end to work to fix that. And the bay scallop. So for since 2019, we're all aware that the Peconic bay scallop has been in a die-off. So we have been supporting some of the research at Stony Brook University through our funds with New York State and some of our partner programs to try and get to the bottom of it, come up with a solution to what is the decimation of the bay scallop. And so I will just move into on the ground where we're spending money. So under the bipartisan infrastructure law, we get about $1 million a year to spend in the Peconics. 600,000 of that is in process here at Riverhead for Meeting House Creek. Broad Cove, over 2 years, we're giving the Peconic Land Trust $300,000. You know, you talked about how much of a beautiful site it is, and we want people to get there. We want to increase access. So we're helping the Land Trust to, I know they just finalized an agreement for alternative parking, to be able to get communities there, to build trails, to manage some of the invasive species that are in there, with a long-term vision of using this site for a variety of purposes. If we can get some kelp growing in there, if we can get some of these nature-based solutions there so people can walk to the water, see what they are, make decisions for themselves, and are not afraid of those solutions and those things. And the Land Trust, of course, is a very good partner, and we'll continue to work with them. We're also trying to have access for some of our disabled residents. We're looking into signage with Braille. We are looking into how we can make trails more accessible to our communities, including gardens for children with disabilities, and we're working through the Land Trust on that. And, you know, it's their property, but we're supporting them to do that. Town of Southold, Goose Creek, they're doing a discharge elimination project, which means they're taking some of their ocean outfalls or their bay outfalls and putting them to ground. We're working through the Peconic Protection Committee to get funding for all towns to be able to do this. They're in Riverside and Southampton. We're funding some wetland restoration, stormwater mitigation on the South Fork. The Peconic East Blue Carbon Shoreline Project is one that marries kelp and oysters and seagrasses to mitigate some of the climate effects that we have. This is the project. We're investing $600,000 on the east end of the watershed, and we also want to move to invest money at the Broad Cove site and the western estuary so that we can have an end-to-end nature-based climate plan. We've engaged the team at Stony Brook University who did the Shinnecock Bay project, which is to date the only successful project over 12 years, using nature-based solutions with proven water quality reductions, more shoreline stability, and a series of other benefits. So we're excited to work with them, and we want to replicate that here in the Peconics, and we want Broad Cove to be the western site for that. And we're supporting Suffolk County's IA system for some of our low and middle income communities and homeowners. The county provides the grant to put these systems in with 3-year maintenance, and then people are on their own. So we are working with the county to provide another 3 years of maintenance for those homeowners. $50,000 of bipartisan money and another $45,000 of our annual funds are going to this. So we have $100,000 to try and get this program off the ground, and the county is working hard to do that. Again, I talked about the Broad Cove Land Trust site. I don't need to get into this anymore. You are, of course, familiar with Terry's and Meeting House Creek, which are priority sites for the Estuary program. And Meeting House Creek, I've been working very closely with Drew. You know, the drainage area is about 5.5 acres, 60% impervious surface, and this will be a constructed wetland to manage stormwater in this area. I know that the town is short about $175,000, so we are going to continue to work with them to try and close that gap and get this constructed. We've been talking about it for a very long time. We really want to see it installed. And then we'll talk about next steps up into that sub-watershed if there are other stormwater management techniques that we can support and help the town to take care of there on Church Lane. Just some accomplishments. What do we do? We're bringing $3 million to the region annually. In the past 23 to 24 season, we have over 90 acres of wetland restoration being implemented or in planning. We've opened 100 acres of diadromous fish habitat. We fund annually over $500,000 in water quality monitoring. We have 5 sub-watershed stormwater installations in planning or implementation. We've launched 2 online tools, which Valerie talked a little bit about. I would encourage you to go and look at them. They are a parcel by parcel assessment. So they are not just a broad brush of what we think will work where. It's a parcel by parcel assessment. Land use categories are based on Suffolk County land use data that we used. It was the only uniform across all 6 towns information that we could get, because some towns do things differently. But there's a lot of information there that you can benefit from. And of course, we support local organizations through our annual mini grant. We had 4 organizations that we funded in 2022. In 2024, we'll release again another call for this grant for another 4 local organizations.
How has work gone with the algae blooms? I know Stony Brook was involved pretty heavily with it, and others, and are we making any leeway with them, or?
So that's a trick question, right? And it's tricky because the algae, you know, when you may conquer one species, 2 more come and decide, okay, now the conditions are okay for us to come in. So we're funding Stony Brook University's work throughout the estuary. Here in Riverhead, it's Meeting House and Terry's Creeks. And what we're looking to do is identify the reduction point in nitrogen and phosphorus that we need to achieve to stop blooms. We're looking at 3 of the species that were particularly bad last year and 2 years ago. So are we making progress? Sure. We're getting to answer that question to be able to identify the reduction point, which will help us then target, okay, we know what we need to do in these areas. Now we need to come up with funding to do it.
Right.
Right? It will help.
That's even over and above TMDL.
Yes. Yes, that is over and above the TMDL. None of this information data is a part of that TMDL. Arguably, the EPA and PEP should be working to update that TMDL. It's very old at this point.
No.
I have one question concerning the algae bloom.
Yeah.
I know it can decimate shellfish.
Yes.
Right, so does kelp, is it affected, or does it have an effect on algae bloom?
So kelp takes up all of the nitrogen that's in the water. So if you have enough kelp, presumably, yes. Right? And where we're seeing really great benefits is that co-benefit when you have shellfish and kelp together, right? Because it helps both of those organisms thrive. And there's great nutrient reduction with kelp, and that is what the kelp eats. So ergo, it will reduce the HABs. That's the idea, yeah.
And your comment on that it's cleaning up Shinnecock Bay, I can't wait to get it off of Broad Cove. Sooner is better. And those women over there are doing a phenomenal job at the bay in Shinnecock.
Oh, yeah, at the Nation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's exactly why we engaged the same team at Stony Brook who had that success. We want to see that at Broad Cove. We've had some preliminary assessments done by them at the Land Trust site, and they think that's the ideal site, and that kelp will grow very well there. So we are excited, and we're looking for funding now to add that on to the work that we're doing at Broad Cove. Of course, through the Land Trust, it is their property. We're not just going to come in and tell them what to do, but they're excited to.
Good, that's great.
And I want to go through a little bit of funding so that you guys can understand why being engaged in our committees, where our money comes from. We get money from the local governments through the Community Preservation Fund, largely. Some towns opt to give us direct budget lines. I'll go through that in just a second. New York State budget is not final yet. We have put in a request for more than $550, but that is what we traditionally have gotten the past 2 years, and at this point, $1.7 million from the federal government. The Community Preservation Fund, and I go through this with every single town, looks at a contribution which is allowable by law. The Estuary program is written into the law to receive funds for operational purposes. Because of Riverhead using CPF funds for debt services, they have always historically given us people's time to help us manage projects in the town. But I want to make you aware of this because I would like you to consider if the $46,000 is something that the town feels that they would be able to do as a direct budget line. I'd like you to consider that for the program. Because our goal is to increase funding, always, right? Not to our program office per se, but to all of these projects that I just talked about. And so supporting us, you know, you're leveraging a lot of money from that initial investment. And that's it. So I will open it up to any questions that anybody might have. I know that was a lot of information.
Good information.
Yes, excellent.
So
much work you do.
we do a lot of work. We do a lot of things. Does anybody
A lot
have
of
any
good
questions?
things, a lot of very good things.
Yes.
Paul Stoutenberg,
Yes.
what kinds of services do they provide?
What do you mean?
Paul Stoutenberg?
The reserve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they provide other than money? Services other than money?
So we funded them to do that wetland
Okay.
restoration work. They don't give us money.
Right, that's what I mean. What kind of work did he actually do?
You mean Michael, the town of Southold, or the consultant?
The consultant?
So we had the consultant come in and do a drainage assessment on the wetland. Originally, we thought that we would be able to have a more engineered solution to some of the wetland problems there. And as always, you know, it's drainage and pipe issues. So we're in the process now of just getting some elevations and some final, much more minor engineering solutions to look at the stormwater drainage and fixing some of those pipes. But we're in the permitting phase with DEC on that.
They're reducing the number of outfalls there, right?
So that's Goose Creek, right? Paul Stoutenberg, we're just amending the flow in and out of the wetland. We're not involved in the drainage reduction. At Goose Creek, we funded them to, I think it was 7, and we funded 4 of the outfalls to go to ground.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Because we're in the process right now of identifying which ones we can eliminate.
That is a project that our management board and our technical advisory committee really like. So I'm happy to talk to you further if you get yourself to a place of identifying those areas. How we can add Riverhead sites to, you know, Michael is on the ball. We have a lot of Southold information, so happy to increase what we have to include Riverhead.
Thank you.
Sure.
The more we can close up, the better, correct?
Correct.
Right.
We love to see outfall elimination and rain gardens, so just keep that in mind.
Right. We have rain gardens in Riverhead, and we do offer a homeowner rewards program, which we didn't really talk about. Where for homes that are in the Peconic watershed, we will give you $500 if you remove a small portion of your lawn and plant native plants. We will also provide a rain barrel. We'll reimburse you for the cost of a rain barrel. So.
Is crabgrass a native plant?
Crabgrass is native.
Because I've got millions of
It
dollars
is
worth
annoying,
of it.
but it is native.
How about moss?
Ooh, that I can't answer. I don't
Okay,
know. I don't
just
know
curious.
anything about mosses.
What's your take on just the fact that I have a problem with people being able to go to, I won't mention the names of the stores, and buy as much fertilizer as they want and drop as much as they want on the ground.
Right.
Because farmers traditionally get blamed for that. However, they don't want to use more than they need because of the expense. Whereas homeowners, they're putting so much down when they're cutting their grass, it's growing up 2 inches behind them as soon as they pass, right? What's anything going on to?
So, bad timing, but right before COVID hit us, Scott's Fertilizer released a Long Island blend that has the state recommendations of reduced nitrogen and slow release nitrogen. It is on the back shelf in Home Depot, covered under some dust and spider webs, but it's available at larger stores. And the launch of the product, was overshadowed by what happened to the world, unfortunately. But there is a Long Island blend that people can use on their lawns. We do, of course, advocate, do you need that much lawn? But that's a personal preference. Most people have their lawn, love their lawn. So, you have to find a way to, I have kids, they want to run around on the lawn, not plants. So, I think it's about responsible use. Absolutely. There is definitely data to indicate that residential use of fertilizer is probably equal to ag. And that's important. That's a lot. So it also has to do with when you fertilize. If you know it's going to rain, maybe that's not a really good time. Do you need Kentucky bluegrass? We're on Long Island. That's not what's supposed to be here. So even working with, there are some slow growing grasses that you don't have to, that are lower maintenance and require lower fertilizers. And a lot of it comes down to people just don't know. They're going to listen to what a landscaper tells them to do, or they're just unaware, what a landscaper is doing on
So
their
what's
property.
the state doing? I'm just curious. The state's so concerned about water. They're concerned about so many different things. You would think that they would require that you're using this slow release nitrogen fertilizer in New York State. I would love to see that on Long Island.
I would agree with you, and the state stopped short of
Not
a
surprised.
recommendation.
Not surprised.
Yep. So that was, I want to say 2018, 2019, that was up in Albany. And it stayed as a recommendation. It did not move forward as a law. The county has a stronger policy. The county has a closed period, when you cannot fertilize anymore.
Right.
And so that is a legal requirement that you can lean into. But again, they don't dictate slow release, lower nitrogen, all of those things. I would encourage you to go. What I do where I live is I go to even my local garden center because I try and support them over Home Depot, but and ask for the Long Island blend. Even suppliers don't know that it's there.
It's the first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And it is,
So-
it's Scott's, it's a Long Island blend, and it adheres to the state recommendation that was made. So, there is a product out there.
And what's the slow growing grass? I want that.
I can get that for you. There is a slow, you have to plant it in the fall. I've heard all these things. That is not my specialty, but I can certainly get that information for
Okay,
you.
great.
Right. And it's easy to point a finger at ag. But for ag, they are a business. Why would they want to spend more money that they don't have to spend?
Exactly.
So, I see that. We did also launch an ag work group through PEP to try and bring ag partners on board to have better outreach materials about some of the great work that some farmers are doing, and to try and shift that conversation a little to everybody loves to come out here to use the farms, so we should be supporting them and not just pointing fingers, I think is the overarching
Agreed.
message.
No.
I have one question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did happen to the horseshoe crabs? Where are they? I would see them all over the beaches all the time growing up, and I never see any horseshoe crabs. I saw you have a whole bunch of programs about the horseshoe crabs. What is happening to them?
So the horseshoe crab populations are in decline. I believe DEC is considering changing the quotas and the fishing. It is still an open fishery, but I can't really speak to the ins and outs of DEC and their regulations. You
I
know,
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
no,
I
that's
just-
okay. The likely culprit is disappearance of habitat. In addition to, again, I'm not familiar with the fishery landing numbers, so I can't. Right,
Yeah,
they
use for
use
conch
them
bait
for
and the
bait
traps all the time.
and the traps, but I don't know anything about what the actual numbers are for landings. But I can say we focus on habitat retention, so that is natural shoreline. If you put up a bulkhead, there's no more horseshoe crabs. So that is something we take into consideration. I know that Dr. Matt Sclafani at Cornell Cooperative Extension for years has been looking into this and has even been able to, or he's getting to where we're having the conversation about which natural shorelines, based on even the grain size of the sand, is the best breeding habitat to try and really support them.
I will say I can put you in touch with the program coordinators if you are interested in going out on a night they are like monitoring and tagging.
Okay.
I can find
Yeah.
like the closest site for you. We're out in Hampton Bays and it's like in the middle of the night.
Oh,
But I will
sounds
say
cool.
it is. It's very fun. But if you saw them previously, you'll notice when they are mating, they're right along the shoreline where the waves are coming in, and so it's a very specific type of shoreline that you need. If you have bulkheads, there's no way that they are going to be using that location. So that I think is it's a big part of the equation there. But I will say on the South Shore, they seem to have more robust numbers to the point where they don't even do the normal counting all of the horseshoe crabs on a beach. They use a segmented type method because there's just overcrowding of them. So they haven't disappeared off the face of Long Island. You can even visit one of those sites if you want to see them in abundance. But yeah, just anecdotally, we did see more at our site in Hampton Bays than we had in previous years that I had been monitoring. So that's somewhat.
I just think they're so cool. They're so prehistoric.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that they were extinct. I used to see them all the time. Haven't seen them in decades in the bay.
Seagulls like them.
Yes.
They attack them, and
Yep.
I've seen that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I used to be petrified of horseshoe crabs.
I love it.
You're scary
They are-
looking when that tail goes
That's
up.
oh,
You think it's gonna jab you or something?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a horror movie in there somewhere.
You have to get up close and personal when you're tagging them, so it's pretty intense.
Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'll just watch.
Anybody have any more questions?
I think excellent presentation. I really appreciate it.
Joyce and
Yeah.
Valerie,
Being
thank
here.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
I agree. This was great meeting you the other day too. So,
Yes. Great
during the
meeting
earthquake.
you. Yes, we shared the earthquake that none of us knew was an earthquake.
Yeah.
Yes, and anytime, please reach out with questions
Okay.
about anything.
Great.
thank you.
you.
I leave this
So
here,
much.
this is yours.
Great. Nice microphone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
All right, for our next item, we're going to go a little bit out of order. We're going to take matters surrounding traffic light at Fresh Pond and Middle Country Road intersection in Calverton. Joanne WASKI and Greg Berman.
Good morning.
Morning.
So Supervisor and town board members, I have asked Greg to come speak with us this morning with regard to concerns from the residents in Calverton about where a potential traffic light may be going on Middle Country Road. There is a lot of concern that the residents have been asking for several years for a traffic light to be placed at the intersection of Middle Country Road and Fresh Pond Avenue. This road serves as a cross-access from Middle Country Road to Sound Avenue. The residents in Timber Park use this road as a way to gain entry onto Middle Country Road. You have a senior mobile home park with about 328 units. I'm thinking about the future of Calverton moving forward. If there's development, we have a lot of open space over there. If it gets developed, I need to make sure that we have some kind of plan. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Greg.
I will say there's always a stare down when you're leaving Tractor Supply.
Yes.
Somebody else across the street in Fresh
Correct.
Pond wondering which one of us is going to get to go. Yes, it's a busy road,
Yes.
so it warrants a
So
light.
I'd like to advocate for the residents of the town and see if there's something that we can do to ensure that a light does go at Fresh Pond.
Absolutely, they need a light there.
Thank you. So what I did, rather than come back with, like 3 or 4 binders, I just kind of excerpted a couple of sections and pages from traffic reports and studies that we've done on projects in the area, in the vicinity of Fresh Pond and Middle Country Road. So just going back probably about, at this point, 5 or 6 years, when the Tractor Supply application first came in, it was 2 applications. It was a 3-lot minor subdivision, and then the site plan to develop the Tractor Supply site. That Tractor Supply site, just for the board's knowledge, they do have approval for the Tractor Supply pad, and there's 3 additional buildings that were approved. I believe one is approximately 9,000 square feet, and then there were 2 smaller 4,000 square foot retail buildings that got approvals. Obviously, they're not constructed yet. The landlord's trying to find tenants. So when that application came in, obviously, because the project site is located on Middle Country Road, which is a state highway under the jurisdiction of the New York State DOT, when the initial referral was sent to the DOT back in, I believe it was 2018, the DOT came back and noted that only a small portion of that property at the time was slated for development. So they wanted to see a traffic impact statement that sort of analyzed a theoretical build-out for the entirety of that property. So the first page of the little packet that I presented to you is from the traffic impact study in connection with that Tractor Supply development. The Build A condition, which I highlighted for you, the Build A condition was the development of that Tractor Supply site itself with those 4 buildings. The traffic impact study noted, and it found that it was unlikely that the Build A condition would warrant a traffic signal at Fresh Pond and 25. However, it did note that the RWCS, which is the reasonable worst case scenario, which was that theoretical build out, said that it would likely warrant a traffic signal. So being that the 25 isn't under the jurisdiction of the DOT, we were not in a position to say you have to install a traffic light. It was the DOT's opinion at that point that the signal was not warranted. So as we fast forward a couple of years, the next page is an excerpt from the HK Ventures draft environmental impact statement, which was submitted in May of 2021. We had the applicant at that point through the secret process and the EIS process look at several alternatives. One of the alternatives was the implementation of a roundabout at Middle Country Road and Fresh Pond Avenue. I sat in on a Zoom call with the New York State DOT. That meeting was held in December of 2020. So the next couple of pages just show that we did have them analyze the feasibility of a roundabout at Fresh Pond and 25. At that time, the DOT ultimately in the future said that they would prefer signalization of that intersection just based on geometry and the fact that the installation of a roundabout would require takings of property on all corners. They noted it would require public eminent domain of 5 properties, approximately a half an acre. So they ultimately sort of yielded to the point that that was highly unlikely in the DOT's opinion to ever come about.
One of the other alternatives that we had the applicant look at was providing a cross-access, just for the boards to get you oriented. The HK Ventures site, which is approximately 30 acres, which is slated to be developed with approximately 412,000 square feet of industrial development, is located directly to the east of the Tractor Supply site. So early on in the review of the HK Venture site, one of the alternatives was to provide cross-access with the neighboring property to the west, which at that time was owned by Calverton Industries. The thought being, and this would have been the optimal situation, was if Fresh Pond Avenue could be, sort of act as the feeder road to a larger industrial development, both on the back where the Sky Materials site is, as well as act as a feeder road to the HK Ventures site. At that point, we likely would not have had a traffic signal at HK Ventures. At that point, it probably could have been like a right in, right out, with the main access being a signalized intersection at Fresh Pond Avenue.
And would have weighed more strength to put the light at the intersection of Fresh Pond and Tractor Supply.
Correct. And so
That's a no-brainer. I mean,
I absolutely agree with you.
I see there's a letter here from
So in March of
Calverton Industries.
March of 2021, and it's in the record in the DEIS. The owner of the Calverton Industries property at the time was approached with a potential cross-access. And he essentially said, as per our prior conversation, we at Calverton Industries feel that allowing cross-access through our property to yours would be detrimental to our future plans. Unfortunately, we cannot accommodate your request. So this was in a position where you have a private landowner who was unwilling to facilitate cross-access that ultimately would have yielded a better result for the entire area.
Yeah.
It was just in a position where we couldn't compel it and without going through, some probably lengthy legal action. So that's where we are. So
Has he been approached again, do we know, since then?
So he has been approached since then. The problem is, since we finished SECRA on the HK Ventures project, we've granted preliminary approval. The position that HK Ventures has taken is like, that train has sailed. If it was 3 years ago when they're so far down the road, short of Calverton Industries going and, funding, essentially what at this point would be paramount with a complete redesign of the project, unless they're willing to foot the bill for that, which I completely understand from a developer standpoint. HK Ventures was, we've attempted that route, we've knocked down that door, and we were shut down. So we're gonna.
That's a shame.
As a property owner that has property which fronts on a state highway, the New York State DOT, they can't restrict someone from having curb cut and access to a state highway.
What's our zoning, what's our town strength in order to mandate cross-access on properties?
So it is a function of the site plan code, so we are, in the preliminary approval for the HK Ventures site, we did require a future cross-access to the Tractor Supply site. What that will do, again, it doesn't immediately address the Fresh Pond Avenue and the Middle Country Road intersection, but people who are visiting the Tractor Supply site would be able to exit to the east through HK Ventures and access that traffic signal. So again, I understand the concerns with the residents coming off of Fresh Pond from Timber Park.
Absolutely.
So we're at a position where right now we have no jurisdiction over that intersection. What I can do, and I don't believe we've gotten the GEIS chapters, I'll have to double check, but I don't think we've gotten the GEIS on the impacts of traffic and infrastructure. But I can consult with LKMA, who's our traffic consultant for the comp plan, and I can work with them. They've got strong working relationships with the DOT. We can work with them to draft a letter, potentially include some of the studies we've done up until this point to sort of petition the New York State DOT to really take a hard look at that intersection. Unfortunately, what typically happens is the DOT is going to wait until there's a tragic accident, and then they'll sort of look at it proactively. I think it would be appropriate to send them a letter and sort of really petition them to strongly look at it.
Absolutely. I would highly recommend that.
Yes.
I think we should get letters of support from our state assemblywoman and our state senator.
Yeah.
Put a package
State
together
Route,
and send it to the DOT.
State Route 25, absolutely.
Yeah,
So, Greg, I got a question, and I'm very familiar with this site. So between HK and Tractor Supply, there's also the ability for more commercial here, right?
Well, so the Tractor Supply site, they do have approval for 3 additional buildings. There's I believe it's approximately a 9,000 square foot building directly to the east
That's
of
what-
Tractor Supply. So basically 3 other pad sites. I think totaling approximately 18,000 to 20,000 square feet of additional. And I mean, the old zoning applies to that property. They retain the old zoning, which is old business CR through litigation with the town probably 20 years ago at this point. So I mean, it could permit, that's how the Tractor Supply site was developed under that old zoning. So they can have retail, they can have restaurants. There can be, there are approval for 3 other pad sites. That site plan is approved, so they would have to come in really for building permits, architectural review board, but that site plan, in its totality was approved.
So they would exit at this fresh pond definitely needs a lot. I can't stand making a left turn
You
over
could
there.
barely make a
Yeah.
left.
I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
It's
to
dangerous.
everybody's points here. So the question I have, so we can make sure that these other pad sites here exit here, can we not?
Well, yeah, so that's
You're
what I
not
said.
just
So
saying-
for the HK Ventures site, we're requiring future cross access. So where you've got Tractor Supply here and here's HK,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a cross access here so someone visiting the Tractor Supply site or any of those additional buildings when they get constructed, they would be able to go out, because there will be, the New York State DOT did accept,
So we'll have
Sig-
2 lights
the-
in that area.
there will eventually, I foresee.
But wait a minute, if there's already going to be a cross-access, instead of having the cross-access going to HK Ventures, why can't the cross-access be HK Ventures going to Tractor Supply? Why can't it just be reversed? Why, I don't
Well, so
understand why the whole.
cross-access is gonna be, I mean, the DOT accepted the signalization report for the HK Ventures site.
Well, would they be, and I'm with Joanne on this, would they be amenable to just making the cross-access so that it comes to Factory Pond, so the light's already here?
Well, again, so right now, there is no light, like, there's never,
No, I
there's
understood. I
the
understood.
warrant analysis, like,
Yeah.
the permitting process for the light at Fresh Pond and 25 has not been done at this point.
Understood.
So that, the study was done once the neighboring property owner shut down HK Ventures for
Thank you.
cross-access.
I think the question is, does a new project in any way have a right to bear on to a pre-existing project? Like Tractor Supply is done and completed, so
Well, so that's where that.
why
that-
do you have to ask Tractor Supply if they can? You know what I mean? It'd be great for them to work together, but I think that's your
So
problem.
that's where the traffic impact study for the Tractor Supply site, again, just the build out of the Tractor Supply site at that time, they said didn't warrant the signal, but any future development, so there is another, you've got Tractor Supply, you've got the access road off of 25, there is another 5-acre piece across that access road that could be developed in the future, and then there's the remainder of the Sky Material site, which right now is it's a C&D material processing site. So any future development will be referred to the DOT. It's likely that at that point, any future development will have to put a signal in. But at this point, I think we're sort of limited to petitioning the DOT. I mean, again, with HK Ventures, we can make the request, but
Right.
going so far down the road, finishing secret, issuing a finding statement, granting a preliminary approval, I think
Even
is-
without cross-access, instead of the light being in front of HK Ventures, can it be a Tractor Supply and then just being a right-hand turn only out of HK Ventures? So when the light turns red next door, you can still exit out of HK Ventures. So the light is still helping the whole overall situation, but maybe it doesn't have to be cross-access.
I mean, again, having gone through the review, issued the finding statement, granted a preliminary approval whereby a signal is going to be approved at HK Ventures, I think it's unfortunately,
But can we move it though, is what we're saying. So we want the traffic light there, but can we move it and then HK Ventures just make a right-hand turn only? In other words, they wait for the light to turn red in front of Tractor Supply, and then they make a right. In other words, it doesn't line up to HK Ventures, but it's still gonna help their entering and exiting out of the facility, and it's gonna help the whole intersection overall.
I mean, so having granted a preliminary approval, I think that's a tall ask. I mean, I can consult HK Ventures, and I mean, they don't have a final approval, but again, that would require essentially a complete redesign of the project.
Just still keep their entrance and exit in the same place, but move the light down. All traffic is gonna pause, right? Like, with a,
I mean, yeah, so
Right.
that would, in a perfect world, the access would have gone behind the Tractor Supply. It would have been like essentially an industrial feeder road. The level of traffic that's going to be generated by the HK Ventures site would not be appropriate to be going in front of the Tractor Supply
So
building.
I'm not, I'm not
at this point,
suggesting
it
the
would be
cross-access, I'm suggesting that you exit. The light is still in front of Tractor Supply, and HK Vendors has a right turn only. So when the light turns red, everybody leaving at HK Vendors is making that right-hand turn on through 25 because traffic is essentially.
But so there is no light at Fresh Pond, and that's the sort of impasse, that there is no light at
Right.
Fresh Pond.
Can we
You're not-
petition to try to
You're
get
not
the
understanding.
light
We can
at
try
Fresh
to, I mean,
What I'm saying is just reposition the light instead of it being in front of HK Vendors. If it was slid down in front of Tractor Supply, it takes care of the the Fresh Pond Avenue and the senior traffic. At the same point, if you're trying to, of course it helps Tractor Supply, but if you're trying to exit out of HK Vendors, you're looking at the light, which is now gonna be a couple hundred yards down. When it turns red, you make your right-hand turn and you start getting out of there.
I mean, I understand, I'm fully aware, I've reviewed both of these applications. Installing a traffic signal on a state highway is not just as simple as sliding it down. It's not like adjusting a curb cut or widening a curb cut, or adjusting radiuses on curb cuts. I mean, you're essentially trying to, we'd be burdening a neighboring property owner with installing a traffic light to benefit
I
their
would
neighbor.
think Tractor Supply would love a traffic light there. I mean, I can't see that they would see that as a burden on them.
The problem
Well,
is
they
the
didn't
state
get
has
it.
looked at that intersection and said it doesn't deem that it needs a light.
But that was in 2018. Maybe
Right,
that has
well,
changed.
Right.
Well, and I mean, we did, the DOT did receive all the traffic impact studies from HK Ventures. I mean, again, I think we can draft a letter, but I'll consult with Dawn. I'll speak with LKMA on what they believe, the best course of action. But I think we're hard pressed to.
I agree with you, but I think we at least owe it to try and see if
Exactly.
for some reason maybe we could work something out here. Because to me, two lights makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
I remember.
And the one
this,
light
yeah,
is
a year
absolutely
ago when
needed
we
at
looked
Fresh
this,
Pond.
No, I mean, it's from a planning perspective, the fact that you have a neighboring property owner who really in the long run would have benefited, because HK Ventures, if we could have designed this and he would have allowed cross access,
Right.
the reality is HK Ventures would have foot the bill for the light. And again, if they're going to install a light, whether they're installing it at the access to their site or the neighboring property
Right.
line, it was very frustrating just from a long-term planning perspective that you had a property owner who just said, no,
Right.
unfortunately, I think that was a little bit short-sighted just to his own interests, because now any development, he'd be responsible for a light
Right.
at that intersection.
Yep.
So that was just personally frustrating for me that, again, you can't compel, you can't twist the
Understood.
property owner's arm to, work with the neighbor.
Greg, I just have a question. What about the idea that the other alternative for these people is they have to just go on Sound Avenue and eventually get over to, Edwards, to start getting into town if they can't make the left off of Fresh Pond?
I mean, that
Well,
would,
people from Timber Park aren't going to go all the way from there to
No,
South
but what I'm
Avenue.
saying, what I'm getting is something to notify the state that we want this to be a historic corridor on Sound Avenue, and you don't want the traffic to be as large as it is on Sound Avenue because people are afraid to make the left. They're gonna make a right and go down off on Sound Avenue. Maybe that's something we could add to the letter. That's an unforeseen circumstance that's happening with a lot of the people that live in the town. They can't get to the town. They have to go on Sound.
yeah. I think, I mean, I can draft, again, I'll work with LKMA. I can see, again, the DOT, if we just write a letter with no sort of studies and support, probably just, okay, thank you. But I think, we've done enough.
I think there's a lot of common sense going on. I mean, I myself pull horse trailers out of Tractor Supply, and when you finally get that moment, you're like, okay, I'm clear, and I'm pulling out. Somebody from J&R Steakhouse has got a little sports car that goes right in front of you, and it's not a good situation. It's not that. It's a common sense. Somebody years ago, when I did stuff for the DOT, we used to sit out there with clipboards and just send them out to do a study on the intersection and just have them watch it.
I fully agree. I mean, regardless of Tractor Supply and HK Ventures, I mean, you have a T intersection where State Route 25 has a heavy volume of traffic. I think irregardless of Tractor Supply or HK Ventures, it was a difficult intersection before that, but now you throw in the four-way intersection with Tractor Supply. it's compounded the problem. So
And the pavement is so smooth up there in that
Oh,
area.
yeah,
of 25 that-
I hate
oh,
that.
my
Horrible.
God,
It's like
it's
They're
driving
really
awful.
hurting their commerce.
Absolutely
You know, by
awful.
not having a light there.
I'm wrecking the alignment on my
You know,
car.
it's-
I know,
Come to
I'm
town.
telling you,
Oh, no,
every
yeah,
time.
my low profile tires, I tell you, they
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
that's, I know it's horrendous.
Well, Greg, whatever you're able to do to,
Yeah,
to help
absolutely.
the
If you
residents.
I'll talk to LKMA, I'll see what we can do to bolster a letter of support and
Okay.
really have
We would appreciate that for
DOT
sure. I
look
know
at that
the
intersection.
people of the senior community up on Fresh
Yes,
Pond
yes.
would extremely like that.
Greg, when you talk to LKMA, right? Can you ask them if they're, I mean, they're probably familiar with the technology where you can put a tracker, rather than putting rubber across the road, and they can put a tracker and a light there that goes directly to an app and it counts the traffic. They'll get, you know, immediate results.
Instant reads.
Yeah, instant reads. Can you let me know if they are familiar with that technology? And
I'm sure they do,
Okay.
I'm sure they're familiar with
see if we can, let's see what that costs, 'cause, yeah, that would be good.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, so I'll work with LKMA and I'll get a letter and I'll review it to the board and we can
Thank you.
get that sent out.
Appreciate that, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you,
bringing
sir.
that up.
I
I've always-
appreciate your time today. I know how busy you are. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back up the schedule and go to matter number 4, which are matters surrounding agricultural worker housing for 422 Edwards Avenue, and we'll have Matt Charters come up and
Mr. Cuddy's joining me
Counselor
as well.
Cuddy. It's always good to see Counselor Cuddy.
Good morning, Mr. Cuddy. How
A
are you?
much simpler discussion and hopefully a quicker one. I know you guys have a
Right,
busy day.
you already have the light?
Tried our best.
$14 billion that goes off Long Island up to the state is not enough money for them. Probably not.
We have to kill him with kindness.
Thankfully, we do have the eye in the sky, so everyone can see the plan here. So this is for agricultural labor housing at 422 Edwards Avenue. If the board is aware, this is Delalio Sod Farm. So this is coming before us because sort of a consequence of a subdivision that's happening on the property. They're doing a 2-lot subdivision here because there's a state-cited solar project going on what's the northern portion of this property, which is Riverhead Solar 2, that went through the 94C process. So essentially, Delalios are subdividing this area, which nobody can see now, but the board can see, is going to be solar, and then Delalio is going to retain this area down here. It's got their barns, a lot of their infrastructure, and there are 2 existing houses on the property, which they benefit from a pre-existing, from an LPU. Essentially, they've been functioning as ag labor housing, but as a consequence of this subdivision, you lose your, can you hear me? I'm
You
a
gotta
little hoarse.
step in a
My
little
allergies are killing me today. As a consequence of doing the subdivision, you lose your rights to pre-existing non-conforming uses because you're changing the lot area. So this was a method to essentially keep what's essentially now agricultural labor housing and to continue the use in these 2 houses, which I just gave you guys photos. Other than that, it's very straightforward. They'll need an RPZ for the water district, health department approval. I included conditions of approval that are typical for agricultural labor housing, which both staff and Mr. Cuddy brought to my attention has some language that I think is worthy of a code revision. It does reference ag labor camps, which, as everyone knows, is pretty negative connotation at this point in time. So it's my recommendation to just, in the code, change it to just
Yes.
reference ag worker housing.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it'll look like Arizona.
Other than that,
18
pretty
months.
straightforward. They'll need rental permits. They get inspected every year. Obviously, the people who are going to be living in these units have to work on farms within Riverhead. But this keeps farmers farming, gives people places to live. So I think it's all in all pretty good and pretty straightforward.
Is the farm, is the sod farm staying where these
So-
houses are? Or
No,
or is it-
their operation is
Just
staying there. so-
clarify that again.
yeah.
So you want to keep housing, but you're getting rid of the farm.
So the agricultural use is still there. The production is going to be elsewhere within the town, so there's no requirement that the actual growing has to happen on the property within where the ag labor house is.
But it'll be like employees for the sod farm.
Correct, it has
Just-
to be,
Just to
yes.
work on
These
properties
employees,
throughout the
yeah,
town.
These houses have been there and used by Delalio since 1988. And he uses one of the houses, the larger house, which is 2 stories, as seasonal. The other one is year-round. But these employees work in Riverhead, some of them work in Calverton, but all in the town of Riverhead. And they've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm good, as long as they're working in town Riverhead, I'm good with
they
it.
have to. They have to by code to have these, and while it's not gonna be an ag production anymore, it's still an agricultural use, so their farms are there, their processing there, a lot of
All
their
their
equipment's
equipment is
stored
at
there.
the site.
Yeah,
Right.
So it's like their base camp, so to speak.
It's typical, it's good.
Fits
You know,
right in the code.
you know, it fits all.
Yep.
And I have a resolution for Tuesday for you guys.
Excellent.
Good.
Mr. Cuddy, it's nice to come in with an easy one once in a while.
Yeah, really. Usually you come in fighting.
We had to get a little creative, but I think it works for everybody.
It's so helpful.
Yeah, it is.
It's good. All right.
Very good.
Thank you. Thanks,
Best
Matt.
of luck to you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Cuddy. Very patient today. Thank you.
Well, we have all of the A-team here today. I see we got Heather up next.
Dun, dun, dun,
Next
dun.
matter is matter surrounding special permit application for two-family dwelling at 4592 Middle Country Road. And we have Heather Trojanowski from,
Is there anybody from the
Our
planning
planning
board
department.
that we've left out?
Everybody's here.
Tracy's still upstairs.
there we go.
Call her down, come on. Let's have a party.
Okay. So I did let the applicant know that the work session was today. I don't see him here, Sean
Okay.
Morrison. I believe he's the expediter, but I did provide him with a copy of my staff report. I don't know if anyone has gotten, a chance to really look at the plans. Staff report's a little lengthy. I apologize, but I'm just gonna open this up so we can all get a look at the site plan.
Yeah, we actually have, put it on, there it is.
There you go.
You're
Perfect.
on TV now.
Okay. All right, so just a brief overview. This is a special permit application seeking approval to construct a two-family dwelling and a two-car detached garage within the Residence B40 zoning use district where two-family dwellings are especially permitted use. The site location is 4592 Middle Country Road in Calverton, more particularly identified as Suffolk County Tax Number 600-97-1-79.1. It's roughly a half an acre parcel, and surrounding development is mainly residential with the exception of the Stony Brook Incubator, which is right across the street, and then I'd say about 1,200 feet east is the Calverton Commons Shopping Center. The proposed action is considered type 2 action pursuant to SECRA because it's the construction of a two-family dwelling, so no further environmental review is required. But I did give you all a brief overview of the requirements of 301-312, all A through R, the special permit considerations. Again, the surrounding development is residential, and the purpose and intent of RB40 zoning is to allow for medium-density residential development. So I don't think it would be entirely out of character with the surrounding area, given that the town board did grant a special permit in the past for a two-family down the road just east of the entrance to Timber Park. The only thing that I noticed was that the groundwater management zone, it's 3, which per Suffolk County Department of Health Services standards is 300 gallons per day of sanitary flow. Two-family dwellings require 600 gallons of sanitary flow, so they will need Pine Barren credits. Again, I provided the applicant with a copy of my staff report, so they were made aware of this. At this point in time, I have a resolution on to classify SECRA, and then we are required to schedule a public hearing. Once we get past that point, I would just highly recommend that as a condition of approval, if granted, they have to get Suffolk County Department of Health Services approval, as well as Water District approval. They didn't note whether or not they were using 1 or 2 services, so that'll have to be hashed out when they make their application to the Water District. But as far as parking is concerned, town code requires 1 spot per dwelling unit. This is a two-family residence, and per the site plan, they're requiring 4 parking stalls, plus they have the detached garage. So I don't see an issue with parking. I will note, personally, I am a big fan of trees. The lot is wooded. There are a ton of Norway maples, and those are invasive, so I have no objections to those being cleared. But there are a couple of nice oak trees along the Middle Country Road frontage. So if it's possible for them to save them, or any large size caliper trees along the property lines, just to avoid
clear cutting the property, that's something that I would recommend. It's, entirely up to the board. But if there are any other questions,
I think it's gonna dress it up because for a while it
Yeah, there
wasn't
was-
all that nice
there was
looking
dumping on
years
site.
back,
The prior
yes.
owner, it's been vacant. He was dumping asphalt millings, I think storied equipment there. And essentially, it wouldn't really be larger than a lot of the newer construction single-family homes that are going up. And actually, each unit does meet the minimum living area requirements
Okay.
that are currently under RB40 zoning.
I'd like to see them keep the trees.
Yeah, I mean,
larger
that's
oaks
something
in
that
the
we can discuss further at the public hearing when the applicant and their representative are here. But I just wanted to get the ball rolling with this, and if we're good, we can classify secra and schedule a public
I
hearing.
just have one question, Heather, because I know about the Pine Barren credits, but do they show proof that they purchased them to the health department and to us?
So the health department, again, in order to get approval from the health department,
Got it,
they'll
okay.
probably dictate how many they need. Again, this is it's double the density essentially, and groundwater management zone 3.
How do we make certain that the separate detached garage belongs to the residents of the home, and it's not a third entity where somebody is now renting the detached garage
Right.
Yeah,
to,
that,
to
that's
somebody else
definitely,
storage in cars, so do we,
I
do
mean,
you know what I mean? I'm not for three
Well, I was
businesses on
just
one
going to
plot.
question the pitch of the roof. I can't read the numbers of what's written here.
Yeah,
but
it looks like it looks like it's proposed to be a loft, and again, this is something that I think the applicant would probably better address since they commissioned these plans, but the town board does have the authority to impose any conditions they feel necessary. So when it comes time to approval after the public hearing, has been closed, we can say that the garage is only to be, a garage, detached
no
garage,
living,
accessory
correct.
use, no living space. And that can also, once they go for building permits, that can be put on the CO as well.
Right.
So that way you have a record when someone goes to put in a FOIL for the property or it gets sold, it's on the certificate of
Right.
occupancy that this is a garage and only a garage.
But a sign is there potentially a way to make it a sign to residents or whoever's renting that structure, and it's not, in other words,
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
that
it's
we're doing
only
a detached
allowable,
garage, and then
yeah.
do we have a third business going in there storing vehicles, trucks, whatever, and not, it's not, you know what I mean, that we have three entities, or do we have two entities?
It should only be accessory to the two-family dwelling. It's an accessory structure pursuant to town code and building code. But again, if there's any specific language, I would definitely consult with council, when it comes time to craft an approval resolution. If that's what the town board is inclined to do after the public hearing, you are allowed to impose conditions.
Almost like it's part of the lease of the first two projects, so whether one house gets both, or each of them
Yeah.
get a space,
And
it
I
doesn't
can,
matter to me, but I don't want a third
I can
entity.
reach out to the applicant and, get something in writing, correspondence from him about the intent of this garage. I mean, I'm assuming it's a two-family dwelling and the garage is accessory to it, but we want to make sure that
Right.
it's going to stay that
That's
way.
the only thing.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with
Right.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, other than that, it's a, Middle Country Road State Highway, so they will need DOT approval as well. Other than that. I
Or maybe they can
think
get a lake.
All right, are we good?
How boring is this? Come on. Get Greg back there.
I didn't realize how much I missed the planning board until I have this back in front of me.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Heather.
You got it, Heather.
Thanks about
Thank
those
you.
Norway maples, because
People thought it was a really great idea. Realtors were like, yeah, plant them, they're great street trees. And, they seed really easily. They grow faster than they can root themselves, so they're prone to falling over.
Yeah.
They're extremely prone to disease. So plant red maples, they're native.
ban Norway maple.
Heather's big with the trees.
I know, I
I love
always
that
love
about
being
her.
in meetings with her.
Okay. Next up, we are to the point of doing our resolutions, and Devin, would you mind reading through the resolutions for us, please?
Okay, ready if you guys are. Everybody ready?
Yes.
We are.
What's going on here? Okay. All right, resolution number 1 authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for food and meat products for our senior center. Resolution number 2 authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for street light and traffic signal repair parts.
Okay.
Number 3, authorizes town clerk to publish and post a public notice for a public hearing regarding an alleged unsafe structure located at 1092 Dolores Avenue, Riverhead, Suffolk County, New York. Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-102-3-16 pursuant to Chapter 217, Part 4 of the Riverhead Town Code.
This has been on the radar for a while.
And resolution number 4 classifies the special permit application of 4592 Middle Country Road to construct a two-family dwelling as a Type 2 action pursuant to SECR and schedules public hearing 4592 Middle Country Road, Riverhead, Calverton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-97-1-79.1. Heather just covered that
Yep.
eloquently for us.
Correct.
Resolution number 5, order approving extension 99 of the Riverhead Water District Maris Farms subdivision.
This is for the subdivision, I believe, up off of Roanoke Avenue.
Resolution number 6, establishes standard workday for elected official. This is for Donna Brown.
This is done every year for elected officials for the retirement system purposes.
Resolution number 7, appoints a member to the Riverhead Conservation Advisory Council, Michael Reichel.
Michael Reichel, thank you, Michael, for stepping up. We've had this posted for quite some time, and he indicated interest, and
Yep.
I think it's a good choice.
Absolutely.
It's a good way as he approaches retirement, we can keep a grasp on him.
Yes.
That's right, we're not going to let him get too
Absolutely.
far away.
Yeah, he actually attended the meeting last night to kind of get his
Good.
feet into it.
Yep. Resolution number 8, ratifies the resignation of a heavy equipment operator. Number 9, accepts the retirement of a senior water treatment plant operator 2B, Arnold Wolfrat.
Arnold Wolfrat. Arnold has been an excellent employee for Frank Mancini and the Water Department. I'm sad to see him go, but I know he's going to be happy and still going to be around town, so best of luck to him in his retirement.
And another retirement, accepts the retirement of an employee, Julianne O'Neill.
Another great employee we're losing to retirement.
That's right.
Unfortunately, age happens, but best of luck to Julie, too. She's been great in the
I
town
thought that
for
she
a while.
was leaving to join Barry Manilow's new tour.
Oh, it's quite possible, I hadn't heard that.
Possible.
She's a fan alone.
Very good. Resolution number 11, appoints a deputy town clerk.
Congratulations to Vanessa Lacan, who will be joining our town clerk's office as a deputy town clerk, replacing Julie O'Neill.
And resolution number 12, sets terms and conditions of employment for deputy clerk Vanessa Lacan. And number 13, appoints a deputy registrar of vital statistics.
To go with the position.
Authorizes recreation superintendent to attend the 2024 NYS RPS conference. I think that Ray has just a little bit of additional paperwork he has to file to accompany this resolution, so assuming we get that, we should be good to go. Otherwise, it may have to be delayed and come to you guys as a ratified.
Okay.
Number 16, authorizes supervisor to execute a stipulation with Local 1000 AFS CME AFL-CIO Riverhead Unit of the Suffolk Local 852.
This is assigning
That's
one of
Karen.
the clerical and supervisor salary schedule where we're moving up one of the workers in the town clerk's office who was due to be moved up last year, and we waylaid it until after the start of this year.
Right.
Resolution number 17, authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with Parking and Mobility Consultants, Inc.
This is to help us with the downtown parking area and the First Street parking garage.
Resolution number 18, ratifies the authorization of the town supervisor to execute a retainer agreement with S. Barshov Law, PLLC. Sorry.
You say that again?
Yeah, I got a little tripped up there.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, I know, I'll have to work on it.
This is the attorney we're hiring to assist us in legal action against the town of Southampton regarding their 10-year-old revitalization plan.
Resolution number 19, ratifies application for CDS funding for Riverhead Water District proposed extensions 95 and 96.
Get the funding so we can finish those two projects up, that will be awesome.
Resolution number 20, ratifies submission of letter of intent and authorizes public notice and application for Empire State Development Restore New York grant.
Dawn, can we just get a quick description of what this is?
Yes. So Restore New York is a program through the state. We've used it on several projects, the Riverhead Lofts project and also the Hyatt Hotel project. It allows us to apply. It's a downtown revitalization program.
Okay.
We could get up to $2 million. It would be for the hotel on the town square. We make the application. That doesn't cost the town anything. They pay the match. But we've been meeting with them, and we think it's a good application. We spoke to the state. They also agreed. So we're going to let it rip and see how we do.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you.
Resolution number 21. Pave Our Potholes, POP 2023 and 2024 Road Resurfacing Project number 52315, Grant Budget Adjustment.
This is money from the state every year we get to help fix and maintain our roads.
Yeah, maybe we'll just ask Bill to come forward and just clarify for us
Exactly.
more specifically what we're doing here. He can just articulate that better than I think I can.
Good morning. That was money, the $61,000 was leftover money in '22 that was budgeted again in '23, so it was budgeted twice. 149,000 last year included 61,000 of leftover money. It didn't need to be budgeted again. So now we're taking that budget away so we don't spend it twice.
Gotcha.
Okay, Resolution 22, Capital Project number 72217, Roof Repair Senior Center Closure.
This is actually good news for a change. They came in $50,000 on the budget, and that's a windfall for us. We like those.
That's right. We'll take them where we can get them. Number 23, grants agricultural worker housing permit for 422 Edwards Avenue, a.k.a. Delalio Sod Farm LLC, 422 Edwards Avenue, Calverton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-117-2-8.2.
This is what we discussed earlier in open session.
Right. Resolution number 24, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Long Island Antique Power Association tractor pulls and fall show, September 28th to November 3rd. Number 25, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Long Island Antique Power Association tractor pulls and summer show, June 2nd through September 22nd, 24. Number 26, approve special event Chapter 255 application for the Duck Pond Society Duck Pond Day. Number 27, approve special event Chapter 255 application for the Home Depot Outdoor Plant Sale.
Spring is coming.
Number 28, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Riverhead Townscape, Inc., Riverhead Country Fair.
Falls right around the corner.
I was just going to say falls.
Number 29, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Halleckville Museum Farm Fleece and Fiber Festival. Number 30, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Riverhead Townscape, Inc., Riverhead Townscape Country Fest. And just to clarify, not to be confused with the Country Fair, the fest is a music festival, the fair is not.
Correct.
Number 31, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Riverhead Townscape, Inc., Blues by the River.
This is for the Blues Fest that the Townscape is working so hard to bring back again. We appreciate all their work and effort in the town.
Number 32, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Riverhead Townscape, Inc., Holiday Tree Lighting Ceremony.
Wow, we're talking about a Christmas tree.
Yes. Just thinking that.
I gotta start my Christmas shopping.
Resolution 33, rescinds Resolution 2024-286 and Resolution 2024-324 Scramble Elite.
This is just a notice that the Scramble event has been rescinded. The gentleman running it has notified us he's not going to have it, and I believe it was scheduled to be this weekend?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be this
The 13th
weekend.
and the 14th on the runway up at EPCAL. That has been canceled and has been withdrawn, so it will not be occurring.
Resolution number 34 corrects Resolution 2022-278. It was just a typographical error. So that's just a little cleanup item. Number 35 accepts performance security for Overlook Homes subdivision. And then you guys have an additional resolution. This was in originally, and somehow it was inadvertently left out. The press has been given copies of it as well. We'll add it online. Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice for a public hearing regarding an alleged unsafe structure located at 650 Elton Street, Riverhead, New York. And that's
So
it.
that's all we have for resolutions.
Got it.
Okay, in a moment, I'm going to make a motion to close the open session and go into executive session to discuss under legal items, Dylan Harris Esquire, matters surrounding possible litigation regarding property tax assessments. That will be with TENNENBERG, Lipinski, Brown, Howard, and Thomas. And we will be discussing another legal matter with Stephen Barshov, Esquire, matters surrounding possible litigation with the town of Southampton. That will be with Howard and Thomas. And we have one matter on for contractual, and that's matters surrounding proposed contractual agreement regarding the town of Riverhead Information Technology Department. And that will be with Kremborg and Baldinucci. Do I have a motion to close open session and go into close executive session?
I make
So
a
moved.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, open session is closed. We will now retire to executive session.